What is up, guys? Ross Thomas here for the Brotographer.com, and I am super excited to still be on my quest to find the best one-handed 3-axis gimbal on the market. Today I'm reviewing the Gravity G1 from Tilta. So I've really been wanting to test and review the Gravity G1 for a really long time because of some of its features. Mainly its build quality, payload size, and the ability to add other accessories via the rosette mounts. This thing holds 8 pounds in its payload, which is good enough to hold a 1DX Mark II and a full-size L-series lens. Second of all, it has an all-metal construction, so it's indestructible. Something most people never talk about when they're dealing with these 3-axis gimbals is the fact that they do break down over time. This thing is built like an absolute tank. It also has an amazing rosewood handle, and like I said, the ability to add other accessories via these rosette mounts are really cool. Like I have this other left-handed handle on here that's also made of wood. Third, it has a 10-hour battery time. Now when you're holding huge DSLRs like the 1DX Mark II, it's gonna cut down, but I've got the new Sony a7R III with a 24-70 G master on here, and it's been powered on for quite a while, and I have not noticed any significant decrease in battery life. Another feature that I've not seen on other one-handed 3-axis gimbals is the ability to put power out to other accessories via the use of a couple of different types of adapters depending on what your accessories are going to use. For instance, I use the Aperture VS5 monitor, and with the use of a DC to TDAP, I can actually mount the screen without using a battery to power that screen. It uses the internal batteries on the G1 to power the VS5, which is a really cool feature that I've not used before. So right out of the box, you're gonna notice that the Gravity G1 comes in a really nice Pelican style case. So opening up the case, you're gonna notice a nice foam on the top and what looks like laser cut areas for the actual pieces of the Gravity G1. Just like the all metal G1, the case and insert inside the case live up to the same standards. This thing looks and feels indestructible and also has a pressure release if you are in altitude or dipping down below sea level. So kudos to Tilta for including such an awesome case. Now, setup of the Gravity G1 is a little bit more involved than something like the Zhiyun Crane 2, which comes assembled fully together. The Gravity G1 is going to be split up inside of these foam cutouts, but putting it together is simple, relatively easy, and I also like that they include a really sturdy metal base plate. Most of the other brands include a little tripod, and I feel like this base plate is going to last a lot longer. Balancing the Gravity G1 is just like any other gimbal. You get all the axes balanced. It's really easy. If you have cameras with bigger lenses or smaller cameras that weigh less and need to raise up in order to be balanced, the Tilta G1 comes with a riser plate that's really useful. When using the a7R III and 24-70, I use the riser plate. When using the 1DX Mark II on the Gravity G1, I don't. Okay, so using the Gravity G1 is actually really easy and one of the easiest on the market that I've used so far. To turn it on, all you do is long press this button on the back next to the joystick. The Gravity G1 is going to turn on, and now I'm going to want to auto-calibrate it. I just hit it 3 times, same button, and the motor's gonna auto-calibrate. If you don't do this, there might be a little bit of give in the motors, but once it auto-calibrates, everything is gonna be really tight on all the axes, or axi, whatever. So we're auto-calibrating right now. I'm gonna do this in real time so you can see. And we're done. Okay. So with the Gravity G1, you have this joystick on the back, the on and off button, you got this little LED so you can see what mode you're in. On the front, on your trigger finger, is a little button right here, and on different presses, you're gonna be able to get into the different modes. Now, I am on the 3-press mode right now, which is chicken head mode, so whatever I do, it's gonna stay pointing exactly forward. 1 press, it's gonna follow the pan and tilt axis. 2 presses, and it's gonna follow just the pan axis. And if I go up or down, it's not gonna follow those at all. Once again, 3 is for chicken head mode. So let's go back to the 2, and we can also get into underslung mode. To go into underslung mode, make sure you sling it away from the side motor like this. So now we're in underslung mode. It's really easy to get into. I sometimes, when I'm not using a handle, like to hold onto it right here to get back up. Just throw it back up, and it's really easy. All in all, usually my favorite mode is the 2 clicks where it just follows the pan axis. At any point, you can still control up and down via the joystick. And if you really want to get creative with things, to kind of give you a little warpy effect, when you're moving into a subject, you can do left or right, and that will adjust the roll axis. Now, I have the roll axis set through the app to move very, very slowly. I like to basically only use this if it gets off a little bit, which I haven't noticed the horizon line moving. I think that's kind of because the motors are so strong, it can hold 8 pounds once again. But that brings me to my next point, and that is the app. Now, Tilta just updated the app to include time-lapse features, and I have not used that yet, so I can't really speak on how that works. The A7R III doesn't have an intervalometer in it anyways. Either does the 1DX Mark II, which is kind of maddening for that price range, but that's another topic for another day. But the app is really nice. It's controlled via Bluetooth, so you go in, hit the Gravity G1, and you're able to adjust a ton of things like deadband, how fast the motors move left and right and up and down and all that good stuff. You're also able to auto-calibrate it within the app. Inside the app, I like to change everything to really low sensitivity. So as I'm moving left and right, it's not following me immediately. It has a little bit of give to it, and that's gonna help you get more cinematic movements. Nobody likes herky-jerky movements unless that's exactly what you're going for and trying to show in your shot. But other than that, I like to have super slow, thought out, planned movements. It's a little bit more cinematic, and you can change all that within the app. So one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to try out the Gravity G1 from Tilta was to use the 1DX Mark II with it. So I actually took the Gravity G1 with me to Hawaii about a month ago and basically used it exclusively with the Tilta Gravity G1. Now, with something like the A7R III, you're gonna get full range of movement, you're gonna get it into underslung mode, and you're gonna have 360 movement in most directions. However, with the 1DX Mark II, you're not going to get full range of movement. So that is a con. It can hold it, and you can do nice tracking shots, you can rotate around subjects, and you can move it, let me get into one here, you can move it up and down a little bit. However, you're probably not gonna be able to do something like this with the 1DX Mark II, just because it's such a tall camera and it's not gonna allow for that. However, if you're willing to live with those limitations, it can be a really cool option for you, and it is something that I really liked using because of Canon's dual pixel autofocus. I was running through the jungles in Maui with the 1DX Mark II and this, and I found that using the left-handed grip with it gave me a little bit more stability, and it was really easy to put on the RE rosette and take off when I needed to travel with it. But having that second handle on there made carrying all that weight really easy inside of the sloppy mud on the road to Hana on our way to a waterfall. But it was really cool, nonetheless, to be able to take the 1DX Mark II on a gimbal and not have to bring out the Ronin M or another larger two-handed gimbal like that. Now, keep in mind that if you want, you can also put larger dual handles on the Gravity G1. However, I like the smaller form factor, and if you are okay with a little bit of weight, I would definitely suggest using the smaller form factor in a run and gun situation like that. If you're on a planned shoot, the two-handed configuration is going to be probably a little bit more stable. So it's gonna take away some of those up and down jitters on that Z-axis. But all in all, I liked the one and baby two-handed configuration a lot better when using the 1DX Mark II. I'll even sometimes use it with the Sony A7R III. So my overall user experience with the Gravity G1 has been fantastic. With the A7R III on it and a pretty big zoom lens like the 24-70 G Master I have right here, I found that I was able to zoom in and out with the zoom lens and have the motors easily compensate for that. When I'm zoomed all the way out to 24 millimeters, that's where I balance it. But if I zoom all the way into 70 millimeters, if I were to turn off the gimbal, it would fall forward immediately. So you know that there's a ton of front weight on it. However, the motors on the Gravity G1 easily adjust for it, and I don't get any vibrating, which is something that I can't say for any other gimbal that I've tried. So these motors are super strong. Again, build quality is a major issue with these gimbals. It seems like we've got a new one coming out every other month, and they're all supposed to be better than the other. The Gravity G1 has been out for quite some time now, and I don't see it going anywhere. Kind of like the Ronin M did. This thing is built to last, and the fact that you can put different accessories on and off of it are fantastic. I really like the fact that Tilta came out with a single product and did not plan for planned obsolescence in the future with a G2, G3, G4, G5. They sold it to you one time, and they plan to update it with new firmware, software, and they basically meant it to last for a really long time. So you're asking yourself, what's the price on the Gravity G1? Now, depending when and where you're purchasing it, it's either going to be $899 or $999. And that's gonna come with the really nice Pelican style case, all the stuff you see here, including the riser plate, chargers, cables, and little accessories like that. If you want other accessories like the handles, you're gonna have to dish out a little bit extra cash, but these things are built to last, and if you plan on becoming a filmmaker in the future, then investing in something like these handles with the rosette mount is actually a good investment. It's something that you're probably not only gonna use with this. Now, they do sell a right-handed wooden handle as well that has a trigger for certain cameras. It doesn't trigger the Sony cameras as of yet, but I'm really hoping in the future that they come out with an update that lets it trigger Sony cameras. Now, at the end of the day, you're gonna ask yourself, is it worth it to buy the Tilta Gravity G1? And I absolutely think it is. Now, other gimbals, I would typically say, well, if you're on a budget, maybe pick it up, or if you've got all the money in the world, pick it up, and it may not work in certain areas, but the Gravity G1 can hold tiny cameras all the way to large cameras like my 1DX. So $1,000, in my opinion, is actually a really good investment into something like this. It's built to last. Its build quality is second to none in all the other gimbals, including the Ronin M that I've tested, and the features just work. It's easy to auto-calibrate. The horizon doesn't get off axis. Comes with a really good iPhone app that they update regularly with new features. If your camera includes a time-lapse intervalometer, you're gonna be able to use it for even more things. So if you've got about $1,000 to spend on a really high quality tool and you wanna put an investment into your filmmaking in videos, I highly, highly recommend the Tilta Gravity G1. It's probably my favorite one-handed 3-axis gimbal to date. So if this review helped you at all, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the little bell above to get notifications when I release a new video. Also, head over to our Instagram where we have a ton of behind the scenes and other content there relating to a million different products and shoots. I'm Ross Thomas for the Brotographer.com, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.